Okay, so let me quickly summarize. So I think today is the first class. Whoever joined, today is the first class. Technically, we are starting from today onwards. In the last few classes, I think one or two, it's a kind of demo class where I have answered all the queries. Also, I have take you through the syllabus and everything. So from today onwards, again, we will be, as we discussed in the last class, today we will be talking more on Jupyter Notebook once you have installed. So in the last class, I told you how to install Python in your system, the Anaconda Python. I hope everybody is able to do that, right? It's an easy thing. Let me know if you have any problem or issues with respect to installing Python using Anaconda.
I
So
haven't installed Anaconda. I have just installed Python.
that's okay. That's absolutely fine. So as I said, you can install Anaconda Python or you can install only Python and then you can install any other IDE of your choice and then, I mean, you can start working, right? But so anyway, so if Python is installed, the next thing is there are different IDEs in Python. Like we have PyCharm, we have Jupyter Notebook, we have multiple other IDs, but today I am going to talk about Jupyter Notebook, which is a very famous IDE, right, for Python. So it is very good for data science related project, because in data science related project, many times we do so many visualization, and we do so many, you know, like data science is nothing but statistics and machine learning. So all the statistical analysis that we will do, right, all the feature extraction, visualization mostly, right, it's very good if we use Jupyter because everything, all the steps we can write in one notebook, and also the visualization graphs we can display. But again, it's a user choice. Any ID you can use. Absolutely, there is nothing nothing is good, nothing is bad. But convenient wise, for class, I will be using Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so what I will do is I will give you a quick, and Jupyter is really very good when you are giving a code walkthrough or when you are sharing your code with your teammates, or especially when you are sharing your results to your manager. So Jupyter has a functionality where you can disable the codes and only show the output. So if you want to share, it's a kind of PPT. Instead of preparing PPT, you just show the results, right? If it is a technical team, they will understand. If it is a stakeholder, that is a different thing. But what I mean to say is everything you can do with Jupyter. Even though you are using other IDs, learning about Jupyter will definitely help you. Sometime you will definitely use it, right? Mostly for code presentation or output result sharing. Mostly for teaching, it is very good. Okay. Okay. So once
Ma'am,
you have
hello,
yeah,
ma'am. Ma'am, good morning.
yeah.
Ma'am, today is my first class. I asked to join as a demo. So I am not aware about the background, like what are the things we are going to cover. And so I need to join another demo class, or just would you please brief
No
about?
problem. Yeah. Okay, no problem. So let me tell you,
Hello,
whoever
Susmita. This
joined.
is Shanti. Even I have the same question. So this is my first session with.
Yeah. I'll tell you. So all the students who has all of you who joined today, right, as a first class, absolutely we have covered nothing. So today is actually the first class. The demo class I have taken, but I am ready to answer all your queries maybe after this class. All your queries in the sense not technically, but technically today is the first class. Non-technical questions like what is the syllabus is about, like all that queries. What is data engineering? What is data science? What is the syllabus? What this course will give you, right? What is the number of year of experience you can showcase, right? What is the market situation now in with respect to data science? All these questions I have answered. That is what we covered. Nothing we have covered. So if you joined today, if today is your first class, and many of you as joined today, I will just give a brief on Python installation. That is what we have done. Nothing else we have done, right? So the Python installation is very straightforward. I'll give a quick review, or sorry, not review, summary of what we have uh, what we have discussed in the last class, the Python installation, so that you can connect what I am saying today, right? And today's takeaway is Jupyter Notebook, one of the ID. We will be learning how to use Jupyter Notebook for Python coding. That's the takeaway. And we will not finish it today and tomorrow. In both class, we will be learning Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So in the last class, technically what we have, people who joined today, please stay back. And after this today's class, I will be answering all your queries. Okay. So technically, what we have done in the last class is we have installed Python, right? So we have installed Python, and how we have installed. So there is something called Anaconda. So how to install Python? So this is Anaconda. What is Anaconda? Anaconda is a open source free distribution of Python. Anaconda is written here. You can see Anaconda is a free and open source distribution of Python, right? So why we are using Anaconda? There are so many advantage of using Anaconda. Even in industry, we use Anaconda. If you install Python using Anaconda, you will be getting Python. Along with that, you will be getting IDEs installed for you. So two IDEs you will be getting, that is Spider and Jupyter Notebook. And both Spider and Jupyter Notebook will be installed for you. Okay. So Python, along with Python, Spider and Jupyter Notebook, plus all the important libraries. So you know Python is a library enriched language. For library enrichment, what? For every task, we have some library available in Python. For example, when you go to machine learning, you have sklearn. For visualization, we have matplotlib, seaborn. All these are library names. So if you install Python using Anaconda, all the important libraries will be installed for you, right? As a user, you are ready to code, right? There is all the prerequisites are taken care by Anaconda. All the important third-party libraries will be installed for you. Python will be installed for you. IDEs will be installed for you. So you are ready. You can start your coding, right? So what you can do is just type Anaconda Python, right? In web, you will get this website. Now, if you scroll down, you can see something called download, right? In Google, when you type Anaconda Python download, you will get this page. In this page, you can see a download button. So if you press on that download, it will take you to this particular page, Anaconda installers. So there are different operating system. For different operating system, you have different installer, right? So you can select according to your operating system. Let's say for me, it is, let's say Mac, so I'll be selecting 64-bit graphical installer, right? For Windows, 64-bit graphical installer. You can click on this, it will download. It is a huge file, 442 MB. It will take some time. Once it is downloaded, you have to do nothing. Just you to click next, and finish. No change, nothing, right? By default, it will be installed if you are a Windows user, C drive. If you want to change the drive while installation, it will ask you the path you can do. Otherwise, it will be installing in C drive. So that's what you need to do, and you are done. So your Python installation is done. This is what we covered in the last class. Let me repeat. What I'm saying is, to start, you need to have all the softwares, and for everything we need is Python, right? For entire course, we need Python. How to install Python? Just type Anaconda Python download in Google. You will get this Anaconda website. Go to download. If you click download, you will get this page. Select your operating system and then click next, and you are done. Okay, your Python, all the IDs and all the important libraries, everything is installed. Is it clear for all the new joinees? Is it clear?
Ma'am, can you also show, in case if I wanted to install only Jupyter Notebook, where do I mention this pip install Jupyter Lab?
I can share you that blog or something, but yes, you can do that as well. So what he is asking is, let's say I don't want Anaconda Python. I want to install Jupyter separately. I think you can get hundreds of articles. You can follow that. So there is a command, Jupyter Notebook.
Yeah, I can see that command, but I don't know where to enter that command.
Yeah, you can do that. So install Python, going to Python official web page, and then install Jupyter Notebook separately.
No, I think his question was just put it in command prompt if you're using the Windows machine. Just put it in command prompt pip install Python notebook. I think you should be okay.
Yeah, because I have Python installed. I'm just trying to install Jupyter Notebook. I'm not able to know like how do I mention.
No,
I'm
what I'm
using
saying is
pip
if you
install
have the
Jupyter
Windows
Notebook.
machine, right? If you have the
Yeah,
Windows
Windows
machine,
machine.
command prompt.
Yeah, I did. It's just doing it. It's pip install Jupyter Notebook, and then it's happening.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think it's, yeah, so it's a one, I think you can Google. It's a simple one-line command. Even in PyCharm, if you have PyCharm, mostly the Python developers, right? They will be using PyCharm because for web development kind of thing, Jupyter will not work. So in that case, you can install Anaconda, and whatever libraries you have within Anaconda site libraries, everything you can integrate in your PyCharm so that all those, I'll give you one example. Let's say Seaborn, Seaborn is one of the library for visualization you have installed, or it is already there in Anaconda. And in PyCharm, it is not there. So you can pull all the libraries which is there here to that environment. I don't see any reason in if you are not using, if you are not a web developer or you are not mostly developing the GUI side, right? Uh, or you are not extensively working in image processing kind of deep learning computer vision related project. Absolutely, there is no need of going out of Spider or Jupyter. Everything you can do here, right? But it's a user choice. But as I said, Anaconda, I will prefer, I don't want to confuse others saying many things because Anaconda is industry standard. I worked in Goldman Sachs and many very finance companies are also allowing Anaconda installation. So there is absolutely industry standard. So that's why I'm saying if you want to install Python, there are hundred of ways you can install Python. You can use PyCommode. There are hundreds of other IDs. You can install PyCharm. You can install Atom. You can install Beam. You can install Notebook and then come to command prompt and type Python file like how you run Java files, right? You can do any text editor. So many options. I don't want to confuse you guys telling all those things. The easiest and the most convenient way and industry way is install Anaconda Python. And there are hundreds of reasons doing that. Many of the packages in Anaconda, it is easy to install rather than only pip. When you go to advanced like OpenCV kind of Tesseract OCR, Conda Forge has a direct command which is easy for installation without, I mean, pip install will actually, it is not always easy. There will be so many other dependent packages and you need to install those first and then pip install the relevant package. There's some problem. So Anaconda is industry standard. I will strongly recommend everybody to go in this way. But if you want to try anything else, you can Google. Okay, hope that answer. Okay.
Yeah, basically,
So
I have installed Python at a 3.8 version, and Anaconda is 3.7 version. So that's the reason why I was just thinking like, what should be
that's
done.
okay. That's okay. One version will not actually impact much. And according to me, you should never use the latest one. Just use the old. I mean, just the previous one, because
Okay.
if there is a bug or something, it will. I mean, 3.7 is compatible with everything. Right, and especially I'm saying for data science, I'm not saying for, as I said, right, if you are a web developer, I'll strongly recommend PyCharm or other IDs, but for this course I'm saying for data science and data analysis, uh, I mean Jupyter Notebook is best.
Okay.
Jupyter Notebook and Anaconda is best. I'll tell you why, because I already told you, see, all these packages you will also get along with that. TensorFlow is already installed, right? Most of the most of the recent NLP packages will already installed for you. Matplotlib will be installed, Pandas will be installed, sklearn will be installed, DAF. I think this is Plotly you need to install. Most of the things will be installed for you if you use Anaconda, right? So that's the profit of using this. Okay, so coming to this, once the installation is done, right? Once the installation is done, what next? The next thing is how to check your installation is done, right? So you can see in Windows folder, if you expand your start menu, you can see a new folder has been created called Anaconda 3. Anaconda folder will be created. In Mac system, you can go to home or the location where you have installed. There you can find Anaconda, a new folder has been created. If you expand, you can see all these things: Spider, Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda Navigator, Anaconda Prompt, all these things, right? So this is one thing. Other way of checking is just open your. What I will do is I will close all this so that you will not confuse. Right? Let me close everything. Right? So now what I will do, I will close everything and I will open one window. Right? And here I will type Jupyter. This you need to do once you have installed Anaconda. Jupyter space notebook. Right, so this is what will open. If this is opening, means your installation is successful, right? If you're able to open Jupyter Notebook, your Anaconda installation is successful, right? So once you have installed Python and once you are able to open this Jupyter, your installation is successful. Now, what is the takeaway for today and tomorrow's class? So after today's and tomorrow's class, you will be able to create any kind of documents using Anaconda. Using Jupyter. So for example, this is one, let's say project, right? Small project. So Jupyter Notebook is not only for coding, but you can, as I said, you can write text. It allows Markdown. So you can write headings, you can write text, you can give bullet points, you can write your code, right? You can see the result just below the code, and you can do EDA, exploratory data analysis. You can do so many things. So how to do this? That you will be learning in 1 or 2 days, right? After 2 days class, you will be very comfortable creating such documents using a Jupyter Notebook, right? Hope at a high level you understood what we are going to discuss. So far, is it clear for all? I'll pause here.
Yes, ma'am.
Installation of Python and then, yeah. Okay. Now let's start understanding Jupyter, right? So what I will do now is I will go to, there are two things. When you open the home page, Jupyter will be opening in localhost, and you can see two buttons, upload and new, in the right corner, right? If you see this, upload and new, these two, right? So what is this two? Upload is when you want to upload. Let's say I shared some code with you, right? And you want to upload that code in your Jupyter Notebook. So that time you can upload. New means when you want to start any new Python code, right? You want to write any new Python code, or you want to start a text file. You want to open a text file, kind of, right? So there are two things. So I want to, let's first write some Python code, right? So I want a new Python file to open. So what I will do is I will click on this new. Okay. So now what I will do is I will click on this new, and there are so many options for me. One is your notebook, Python 3. Other option, I can open a text file, I can open a folder, I can open terminal. I don't need any of this. I want to open a Python 3 file. So I will click on Python 3. A new Python 3 notebook will be opened. Okay. What I have done is, once I have opened Jupyter Notebook, in the right hand side, there are two buttons, upload and new. If I want to write any Python code, I need a Python notebook. How to open a Python notebook? Go to new, click on new, select Python 3, and then click on that. You will get a new Python notebook. This is a new Python notebook. Here you can write anything that you want. right? So in Jupyter, there are two things. One is you can see this box, right? You can see this box. This is called cell. What is this called? Cell. So the execution in Jupyter is cell by cell. Okay. So let's say in one cell you have written data pre-processing code. Another cell you have written data model building code. Another cell you have written model validation code. So it will execute cell by cell. And if you have any error in any of the cell, it will not jump to the next cell until, I mean, if it is, let's say in one cell in model building, it is taking 2 hours. So it will be completing the model building step first, and then it will jump to the next cell. So it is a sequential execution, cell by cell. Okay. So we can do many things. As I was saying, I will talk. So this is the Jupyter notebook, Python notebook. There are so many tabs. We will go about all these tabs in this 2 days class. So first is your file. So I mean, in file, you know what you can do. So you can create a copy of this. Let's say this is some code you have written. Let's take this, right? This is a code that I have written. I want a copy, right? I want to save this. Let's say backup of this code I want. So you can do a make a copy. We'll create a copy of this, right? If you want to open any new Python notebook from here also you can open, or you can open from any existing Python code from here. Very important thing you need to do is this option, save and checkpoint, right? Can you see save and checkpoint? So this is important in Jupyter notebook. So what exactly happening if you press this? If you do not press this also, Jupyter will be auto saving, but let me explain what is that save and checkpoint is. So every time you create a notebook, a checkpoint file is created in hidden subdirectory of your saved location. What I'm saying is, wherever all these files are saved, right? Somewhere it is saving in your local system, somewhere it is saving, right? This decision tree, random forest, this this Python code file will be saved somewhere. In that location where this file is saved, in that location, right? Another file called checkpoint, right? Checkpoint file is also created along with the main code file. A checkpoint file will also be created. You can check actually after today's class. You go to the folder and check. It will be a hidden folder. So you have to you know how to see hidden subdirectories, right? So what is happening is by default Jupyter will auto save your notebook in every 120 second, right? In every 120 second auto. This timing you can change in the setting folder, but by default it is auto saving, right? But before it auto saves, before that time window, let's say 120 second or x second, right? Before that x second, what will happen if your Jupyter will crash? Or let's say sometimes in Friday evening, our company do a auto kind of update, right? So your system will shut down at a particular time. You are writing some code you have not saved and checkpoint is not clicked, and before that X time, let's say your system is shut down or crashed or something happened. In that case, you will lose all your coding. Whatever you have done is gone. So to avoid that, but as I said, the time X you can control. So basically, Jupyter will take care of your recovery process. So in by some chance, if you are missing or crashing this notebook, you can go back to your previous work or previous checkpoint, right? Or previous snapshot, kind of previous file. You can go back. So this is the kind of recovery process that Jupyter is doing, right? So you can actually manually Jupyter will auto save, but it is if you are doing really some important changes, if you have done, it's better to do manually. If you want to save, then you can press save button and save and checkpoint, and what that will do is it will it will immediately update the checkpoint file as per your main file. I'll repeat. What I'm saying is, let's say you opened a Jupyter notebook and you have typed something, okay? 99% of the time we don't do anything actually. Jupyter will take care of everything. Auto save option is there. You do not do anything also, it will be auto saved. So what Jupyter is doing, wherever your file is saved, this Python file is saved, in the same location, it will create a checkpoint file, which is present in the hidden folder, right? You can check checkpoints.ipynb file will be there. So what is that checkpoint file? It is a backup of your code. What is that? Backup of your code. So in case your code is crashing because of some reason, you can go back to taking that recovery. You will be able to take the recovery from the checkpoint file. That is the goal. Now Jupyter is taking X amount of time to update both the checkpoint file and your main file. If you have done some very important change and if you don't want to lose it, better save and checkpoint. Click on this save and checkpoint option. Okay, so you can see checkpoint created at this time. So this has been saved. Now immediately if your system shut down or crashed or something happened, you can recover your old file, right? Because you have saved it. Is it clear? Save and checkpoint is clear? Is it clear what is this option? But mostly
Yes,
it is not needed. Yeah. Okay, see, Monday, May 18, 2020, 7:35 a.m. This is the last checkpoint to which I can go back, right? So this is what it, and I think rest all you can try. These all are very common options. I think you all know that. Download as I'll give you. So Jupyter will help you to download in 6 or 7 formats. You can see what all formats it is allowing. It's not only, let's say HTML. Let's say I downloaded it as a HTML. I want to share my code to my manager who is a manager of 50 people, different technologies. Some people are using R, some are using Scala, some are using Python, right? He may not be having Python installed in a system, or even if Python is installed, maybe to run this code, you have installed some other libraries, 10, 15 advanced libraries. If you share your code, Python code, he may not be able to run the code, or if he has to run your code, he has to install so many other packages, which is he may not be interested in, right? Because he's a manager, he has lot much other important things to do. So your responsibility is to share your code so that with minimal effort, your manager will able to see your code and output. So this is a HTML file. Anybody can open it in web. No need of any software, no need of even Python. You know, HTML file can be open anywhere. So just share this, and this is how it will be. He can see everything, right? Entire code. And there is an option also. If you want to disable the code, only want to share the outputs. Let's say I want only this, whatever is the output, right? Only that you want to share. You don't want to share the code. That also you can do here. Are you getting? So that's one option, right? That is one option. Other option, what format? Let's say you don't want your team members to change your code because the code is very crucial. Don't want them to modify. Normally, when we send Python files, they can do some changes, right? So better to send them in PDF format. So you can also share it in PDF format, right? Other option, you can download it as a HTML file. You can download it as PDF. You can download it as LaTeX. You can download it as other many formats, right? So Python format is .py. You can download it as .py format. And notebook format is .ipynb. Remember this. Many of you will not be able to open this because I will be sharing, let's say I will download it, right? I will download it. Then it will be saved as .ipynb. What is this .ipynb? .ipynb is Jupyter Notebook supported format. You cannot open this in any other IDE. Not any IDE like Spider, PyCharm, no IDE will support. If you have downloaded it in IPYNB format, you can only open it using Jupyter Notebook, right? Why? Because it supports Markdown and other IDE doesn't support Markdown. So only Jupyter Notebook can open IPYNB. So what you can do is, you can, when you are sharing your code, always try to download in .py format, .py, so that everybody can open. But when you want to save your result, right, or I mean, you can create two copies. One is IPYNB for proper documentation, and one is .py, so that anybody can use it. Is it clear? So whenever next time when you see any file with .ipynb extension, what you can understand, that is a Jupyter Notebook file. Only Jupyter Notebook here you can upload, and then you can see that file code. In other ID,
Where
it
is
will.
the .py?
Sorry, could you
A
repeat, please?
.py extension? I could not see in the download list. .py.
IPYNB.
This is for the
IPYNB.
Jupyter. Yeah, this is for the
Yeah,
Jupyter Note.
Python file. See, scroll down, you will get it. .py option is there. PDF
Okay.
option, HTML, .py, IPYNB. 4-5 options are there. Right. So, I mean, you can obviously download in Python format. That is, I mean, by default, but other formats also it supports. That's what I want to say. Any file which is in IPYNB will open only in Jupyter. Okay. Okay, I'll pause there. Is it clear so far? Save checkpoint and download. Is it clear? Saving file and downloading. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now that's the file option, and rest all I think you can spend some time, copy, split. You can split one cell into multiple cells, merge many cells into one. You can move cell down, move cell up. These all cut any cell, copy cells, right? This all you can try. I think you can do it. And insert is nothing but you can insert cell above, cell below. Let's say I want to insert another cell, so just insert, and the shortcut is this plus. If you type plus, it will keep inserting. Even keyboard shortcuts are also there. I will not recommend initially you just use the tabs, but once you become expert, you will be you can use the keyboard shortcuts. From help, if you click on help, you can get here keyboard shortcuts, right? There is something called keyboard shortcuts. If you click on this, you will get a complete list of all the shortcuts, right? I mean, if you scroll down, you can able to see how to add a cell, how to delete a cell, how to find something, right? So this is all the kind of how to save, how to close, all this, right? So there are two modes in Jupyter. One is command mode and one is edit mode. This blue, if it is in blue in color, that is one mode, and if it is green in color, that is the another mode, right? Command mode and edit mode. But no need of that. I'll tell you in simple terms. Okay. So I'll pause here. What I have discussed so far is, once you open this Jupyter notebook and once you open a Python notebook, you can download that Python notebook into different formats once you have written the code. And it is advisable, if you have done some major changes, to click the save and checkpoint button immediately. If you do not click also, Python Jupyter notebook will auto save that in X time. I exactly did not remember the time, but I think it is 120 seconds, right? So within that time, it will auto save, right? So in case in future, if you're old, I mean, you have done some changes and you want to kind of go back to your previous checkpoint, you can do that. Clicking on revert to the back checkpoint, right? That option. Now what we are looking is different modes, right, in Jupyter. So if you see here, if you see this, there are different modes. One is your code mode. If it is in code mode, you can write code. If it is in markdown mode, you can write markdown, means text basically, right? You can give headings, you can give points, you can give text, you can write text, paragraphs, all those things, markdown. So this, and there is a third mode is heading. So I'll talk about heading later, right? So code and mark. So basically, when you are by default, it is in code mode, right? So let me type some Python code, right? This is how we print anything in Python. So don't worry, we have not started Python. I will start Python after you're comfortable in this. This some Python code I have run, and then how to execute? There is a run command here. Can you see here? Run command. Click on this. Default is shift and enter. That is the keyboard shortcut, but I mean, as of now, you can click on this run. So run means it will execute. Now, if I change it to, now let's say before this, I want to write some text, what I am trying to do, right? So I have entered one cell and I want to write about the code, documenting the code. So what I will do now is I will write, this is my first Python code. So what is this? This is a text, right? This is a text. If I run this, I will get error. Why I am getting error? Because the mode is in code mode. I am writing text. It's not a code. I need to change to markdown. What I need to do? Any text I am writing, I need to change it to markdown. And then I need to run it. So this will work, right? So I can do lot many changes to this text. I can bold it, italic it, font size I can change, different font style. I can create headings, bullet points, all that we will learn in the next class. But what I mean to say is, if you're writing code, you select code mode. If you're writing markdown, you select markdown, right? Now, what is heading? Heading is nothing but, again, it's a way of giving your code a nice look. There are different kinds of headings available. Let's say the first heading. So you can click on heading. For starting, you can click on this heading, right? And then click on OK. Right? And then you can write, let's say this is nothing but heading 1. This is the first heading. And then you run. See, this is a heading 1. So it will be kind of bold and all the heading properties, right? So the first heading. So let's say within this first heading, you want to create another subheading, right? A main section and then subsection. Within this main subheading, you want to create a subsection. So again, escape, and you need to press 2 times hash. How many times? 2 times hash. I'll give you the keyboard shortcut. Escape and then press 2. What you need to press? 2. 1 you need to press for heading 1. 2 you need to press if you want to write a subheading between in the main heading. And then you write, this is heading 2, and then you run it. See, this is smaller in size than heading 1. You want to create another subheading. Within heading 2, you want to create another subheading, right? Or smaller size. What you can do is escape 3, right? And then you write heading 4. Sorry, heading 3. This is heading 3. One more heading. What you can do is escape 4. And you can manually actually press, let's say, press hash, and you will get more headings, right? But I'll go slow. So you can press escape 4. So it is escape and then 4 I already pressed. So this is 4 hash, and then I will write my next heading. Right, this is heading 4, and so on. You can keep writing different headings. That is what heading. So you can give basically the headers. You can write main header, subheaders, inside subheader, again a subheader, right? That is what heading is. Markdown is text, heading is giving headings, and Python mode is nothing but your code. You can write Python code, right? So I'll pause there. Is it clear so far?
So Susmita, you were talking about the blue versus green, right? So one is in what is mode, like code mode, and the other one is in terminal mode, something.
Code mode and edit mode, yeah. Command mode and edit mode.
So how do I get it, the command mode and edit mode? Because in my Python, looks like it is only in blue, which is like, I think, code mode.
Control shift hyphen. If you combine it, edit mode and combine. So but basically that is, if you do not want to remember the shortcuts, whenever you want to change anything, right? You can go to, if it is blue, it is, let's say here I want to do, so basically I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow, but see what you can do is you want to do some changes. Say this, right? I want to do some changes, like I want to change the font size or make it bold. Let's say I want to make it bold, right? So I will do 2 times this. So this
Okay.
is run. So if you do want to do any edit, you can go to edit mode and press enter to come to the next mode, right? Sorry, this is to end here, right? Okay, so now this is bold. If you want to make italic, so this thing we will discuss tomorrow. So 3 times if you write 3 stars, it will become italic. If you want to change the font color, there is again you can write font, all the things that you're doing in Markdown, right? Font and then color, right? You can write the font color. What else you can do is you can make, let's say, bullet points, right? So you can simply type this thing and then write your top text. This is my text, and then run it. This is in code mode, so I need to change it to Markdown, and this is a bullet. Okay, so we will discuss those things. You can do line breaks, you can write mathematical equations, you can do bold and italic, right? You can, if you are forgetting these things, you can simply write the markdown. So you know how to write italic, so you can write sorry. You can also write I. And for bold, you can write B. For line break, you can write BR. Right? So all these things are very similar to markdown, right? So we will discuss those things later. So we'll discuss that later. We'll discuss in a detail, so don't worry. Everything we will discuss. Okay, how to add links, hyperlinks, videos, everything. Right? So is it clear so far? The mode, I'm not talking about this. We will discuss that. But heading, code, and markdown, is it clear? 3 modes. Heading, code, and markdown. Is it clear?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we will go in sequence and please do not ask any doubt if I have not covered that topic, because it will confuse others. I will cover everything. When I am saying the topic is over, and then you can ask doubt if I have not covered anything, but please be patient until I cover everything. Please do not ask anything which I have not covered, right? So if I have covered something and if you have any queries regarding that, please ask me. I will answer all your queries. Okay. So what we have covered so far is how to install Jupyter Notebook with Anaconda Python, and then we have seen how to use Jupyter. In Jupyter Notebook, we have seen how to open a Python code, how to open a Python notebook, how to save it, save and checkpoint. One more, yeah, save and checkpoint we have seen. And then we have seen how to download it, different formats. And then we have seen going to different modes: code mode, markdown mode, and header mode. In code mode, we can write Python code. In markdown, we can write text. And in heading, we can keep any heading, give any heading. By just the shortcut for heading is escape and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the number. The number will tell you the heading size, right? 1 is first heading, 2 is second heading, and all that. So these all things we have covered today. What we're going to cover tomorrow is mostly I'll be focusing on the markdown side. Markdown. So as I have shown you here, how to block codes, how to line break, how to write a mathematical equation, any mathematical equation, how to bold and italic, ordered list, on unordered list, how to add a hyperlink, how to add YouTube video link or any other blog article hyperlink, right? How to add images, how to add a table, right? All those things we will complete. We will be completing Jupyter Notebook tomorrow. And I'm going slow because many are new and many will be joining. right? So initially 2-3 days, we will go in this way. Once once everybody is joined, then we will go 1 hour, right? We'll start Python maybe day after tomorrow. So whoever joined today newly, just try all this, practice everything, install Python, and let me know if you are facing any difficulty related to installing Python. Okay. Okay.
Sasmita, just one question.
Yeah.
So for Python, means how many days will it take to complete it?
So for Python, right? So I think the basic Python we will complete soon, but the advanced Python will take some time. The NumPy and Pandas, that's completely new to everyone, and it's very important with respect to data science. Pandas data frames are very important, and Seaborn and Matplotlib are also included in Python. The visualization. So visualization and NumPy Pandas, I will focus more. Basic Python, I'll go. It will be finished fast, right? But the
Okay.
advanced Python time. Yeah. But don't worry, if you are completely new, then you will understand everything. This is the pace we will go, and I will give enough time for you to ask doubts. And also I will go slow, and I myself, after completing one topic, I give chance to everyone to ask doubts before moving to next topic. So it will be very clear. If you are very beginner, then also you will understand everything that we are covering. Okay. Yes.
So
Sorry, I will update. So this syllabus, yes, I'm going to share the syllabus. 95% will be same that I already shared, but few things will be changed. So I'll be sharing the syllabus. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I never got it, so maybe if you can share it. So, I mean, do I have to reach out to the Durgasoft people for the syllabus, or you're going to send via email or something?
I think they will be sharing with you if you have joined. They will be sharing. You can check with them, right?
Okay.
Once the batch is formed, there will be a Google Drive. In that drive, I will be uploading everything. I think today's recording also will get. Okay. And the
Okay.
timing will be 7 to 8 every day, Monday to Friday. Okay. Okay. Let's connect tomorrow. And people who have 1 second, sorry to interrupt you. So whoever attended demo, they can drop, but whoever like want to ask any questions, they can stay back, right? For all those who for whom today is the first class, they can stay back and ask your doubts. I'm ready to answer all your queries. Others, they can drop.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
So on Jupyter Notebook, I've clicked log out, and now I don't know how to log in back. I'm trying to log in. It says me enter token, password or token.
Log out. How you have logged out from this?
So
Where is?
yeah, see
Close and-
on top you have a logout option.
Basically, I have never logged out actually. Where is that option? Please tell me. I will. So in the file, where is that? So close and halt. Basically, kernel.
It was
Shutdown is nothing but this is something which you can do if your code is stuck. So you can interrupt, restart. I mean, all this reconnect.
by clicking shutdown. I don't know what I did. There was an option for logout.
There's no log out. Where is that? I don't know. Like shutdown is there, which will shut down your kernel. You can restart your kernel again. Where is logout option? There should not be. I mean, it's a. I don't know what you pressed. I'm listening first time logout.
When
So this is something.
I installed Anaconda, and then from my start menu, I selected the Anaconda, and then it opened a new page, which had all the options, like all the libraries. From there, I selected Jupyter Notebook.
That is called Anaconda Navigator. If you press that,
Yeah,
it will
so
give you all. But that is, I have not told you, because if it is a Mac system, it will be faster. If it is a Windows system, if you go to Anaconda Navigator, it will take 5 minutes, 2 minutes to load that navigator, and then you can
yeah,
press Jupyter Notebook, so that Jupyter will be opened. So the easy way to open Jupyter is always go to your command prompt and type Jupyter space notebook. It will open very quickly. Okay.
yeah, I did that. See, when now I'm able to open, and when I open it up on top where you have an option to mention your file name on my screen,
Pub,
just above. Yeah, so just
pub,
above on my.
one
Sorry, your voice
second,
is
pub.
breaking.
My voice is breaking. Okay. My
Okay, I
voice
can
is
hear you.
breaking for. Yeah. See, Pavneet, I will answer your query, but let me answer others' query first. You be
Okay,
online.
okay,
I
no
will.
problem.
You can share your screen. Maybe I'll take a look. Right. Others, if you have any query related to the course content or anything, you can ask. If today is your first class.
Yes, ma'am. Just I need the brief about the syllabus, what we are going to cover, and the duration of the course. So it will be useful for me.
Sure. I think the previous batch recordings you can go through for a detail on this. But at high level, I can tell you, right? I have explained detail way in the last demo. But yes, I can quickly give you a summary. So this is the syllabus, not the updated one, but mostly 95% of the things will be same. Please mute yourself. Is giving noise. Yeah. Okay, so this is the syllabus, and you can see there are at high level there are three major modules. One is your Python, one is your statistics, and one is your machine learning. In Python, what all are the topics that we are covering? Starting from basic Python, we are going to cover basic Python language basics, if else, data structure, and everything, followed by the advanced Python, that is NumPy, Pandas, and visualization, right? NumPy, Pandas, and visualization. So this is your module 1. So the first step, Python. Data visualization with Python, NumPy, Pandas, data structures, and other modules of Python, followed by one project. So that project is based on Pandas and visualization. This ends your step number 1. Step number 2 is statistics and machine learning. In a second, you will also get one more project, mostly a machine learning project. All the concept that we will discuss in the class, we will immediately implement all those things in the real-time problem project, right? And in statistics, you can see the topics. It is very, very in-depth, mostly descriptive inferential statistics. If I tell the terms, you may not be able to understand because you are beginner, but I can assure you this content of statistics is very in detail. Hypothesis, ANOVA, everything we are covering. Along with that, the machine learning part. So in machine learning, regression will be completing regression and then classification. These are the different categories. In machine learning, we have supervised and unsupervised, two major categories. So what I mean to say is, in machine learning, we are going to cover 4 or 5 algorithms in a detailed way, starting from the logical description, the math, plus the Python implementation, right? And ultimately, we are going to implement everything. Small projects I will be giving, like I have shown you decision tree random forest. That is an implementation of one algorithm, plus a major project will be there where you will be practicing what we have discussed in the class. Plus, you will also be getting deep learning. So deep learning, I will be explaining you ANN, artificial neural network. That is the chapter that I'm going to explain, along with CNN, convolutional neural network. So you'll be getting neural networks, ANN, CNN. NLP is something which I will be sharing the recordings with you, because we have limited time. I'll not be able to finish NLP in this syllabus. This will be recorded. I will share the recordings. You can go through. Deep learning, whatever is written, we will complete everything. And machine learning, most of the things we will complete, whatever is written here. So in this entire 1.5 months, you're going to get Python basic, advanced, statistics, machine learning, and deep learning. Machine learning 2 to 3 algorithms, deep learning 2 algorithms. In total, 5 to 6 algorithms from machine learning and deep learning in an in-depth way. Okay, followed by NLP video recordings, audio recordings of my previous batch that you will get. Plus, I will be sharing interview questions and resume preparation tips and all. Mostly that I will share the recordings. This is what the syllabus is. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, the deep learning we are going to cover completely, or just it's half like?
No, ANN and CNN. So there is an advanced course after this course. The entire syllabus is of 3 months, right? If you are enrolling for 3 months, it will complete your series. After 3 months, you will be expert in deep learning and machine learning. Everything, every algorithm we will be covering in this 3 months. But this course is 1.5 months where we will be completing some algorithm from machine learning and some algorithm from deep learning. It is not every algorithm. In the advanced course, in intermediate, we are covering ANN and CNN. In the advanced course, we will be completing RNN, autoencoder, LSTM, transfer learning, advanced algorithms, GAN networks, right? So hope I can share you the advanced syllabus as well. You can take a look. Along with
Okay.
that, also we will be starting NLP in the advanced module. Okay, word embeddings, sentiment analysis, document classification, Disney visualization, so many things are there. So the advanced topic is again 1.5 months. To answer your query, no, we are not completing all the modules of deep learning and machine learning. We are completing 2-3 algorithm from machine learning in a detailed way, 2-3 algorithm from deep learning in a detailed way, along with statistics and Python.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, we are not going to learn R in this module.
No R anywhere in the picture. We are not going to learn, and there is no need of learning R and Python both, because both will solve the same thing. You can implement regression using Python, you can implement regression using R, and you know the market is more focused towards Python. Everything is Python, shifted to Python now. So why you have limited time, 1.5 months. If you learn R, again 15-20 days will go there, and some of the major topics I need to cut. And you will not able to crack interviews if you not completed these modules. As a data scientist, this is your core module. Python is not a core module. It's kind of, for a grade 1 student, ABCD is assumed to be known. Similarly, for a data scientist, language is assumed to be known. It's not a skill. Machine learning, deep learning is mandatory skills that you should know, without which you cannot crack data science interview. Okay. So, and also you don't need to know all the things that is present in the world. There are 40-50 algorithms. Even I don't know all the things. I am also learning. So you don't need to know all the things. It is a very, very booming field. Every year, recent, the research, many new algorithms will be coming up. As a data scientist, it's not necessary to know all the things that is present, but whatever you know, you should be very, very confident about it. You should be knowing it in an in-depth way. The depth is important, the width is not important, especially for cracking interviews. If you tell you know 10 algorithms and if you cannot answer a simple algorithm, you will be rejected. But if you tell you know 3 algorithms and you can answer anything that they are asking with respect to those 3 algorithms, there is a chance of getting selection, getting the job, right? Are you getting what I'm saying? So I
Yes.
am more focused on depth rather than width. So whatever algorithm we are completing, we will be completing everything, the math behind it, the logical implementation, the how we can implement it in business problem, everything. Whatever we are not touching, we are not touching. We are skipping.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
So,
So after
ma'am,
this course, you case 1.5 year experience in intermediate. After completing the 3 months course, you can showcase at least 3.5 to 4 year experience in data science.
So actually, ma'am, I'm having around 13 years experience as a Oracle database administrator. So what do you suggest? Like I should go for this one?
Definitely, because SQL is one of the skill set everybody should know as a data scientist or data engineer or data analyst. So you already know one skill which is required, right? And very easily you can write 2 years you have worked as a DBA and then 2 years you have worked internally as a kind of senior. To be very honest, uh, with 13-year experience, if you showcase, if you are writing yourself as a team lead or senior position in data science, you should know all the things. With intermediate course, you can showcase 2 year of experience. I think you can understand what I mean to say, right? If you want to showcase 4-year experience, complete the entire series. If you want to showcase 2-year experience, this course is sufficient. Now you can select what you want to do. But I want to be honest. This course is, you cannot write you are a data science lead by taking this course. Okay.
Ma'am,
Okay,
I'm at
ma'am.
this side from.
Okay, Ahmad, yes, you can proceed now. Then after that, I will ask my question.
Hello, ma'am. I'm at this side.
Yeah. Yeah, Anand. Hi.
Amit.
Yeah, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, this is my demo batch, and I am a MIS executive in my office, and I do a lot of automation thing. So I am going for this course. How this is going to help me?
See, this course is for someone who is willing to change their domain, whatever existing domain they are in, to data science. If you want to apply
Mm-hmm.
roles like data scientist, senior data scientist, lead data analytics manager, this course is suitable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that is your goal, then you should take this course. If you want to lead a data science team, or you want to switch as a data scientist, or you want to
Mm-hmm.
write like senior data science trainee, data analytical engineer kind of role, this course is suitable.
I have around 10 years of experience, ma'am, in this job profile. So are they not going to ask me that where were you like 5-6 years ago?
Obviously, they will ask you, and you cannot
Change.
lie on 10 years. So you can tell it's a new thing and everybody is learning. So there is nothing to hide. You can tell I have taken a course and internally I have lead a data science team for 1.5 years to 2 years. But to tell that, you have to spend some 4 months to 6 months to prepare yourself. It's not a one day task. So you complete everything, whatever is there. Because to lead to lead a team, you should know at least what is there in data science, right? Not at an intermediate, at advanced level. You should work
Mm-hmm.
yourself in project. You should do yourself. Then you will get an understanding, right? Then you can put in your resume. So yes, I mean you can write as a senior data scientist, or you can, if
Mm-hmm.
you are ready to kind of switch job with the same package, or maybe with a, if you forget about the package and initially if your goal is to change to data science, I will rather
Mm-hmm.
recommend to write a simple honest term, like maybe 2 years you have worked in data science and 8 years in other technology. With that,
Okay.
if you want to enter, because I have seen many team members, they were senior software engineers and other senior position, right? They
Mm-hmm.
come to data science, to our team, with a very junior position, like they are data scientist now. Uh,
Okay.
with 10 year experience, they are data scientist. With 6 year experience, we are senior data scientist. Whereas
What
they
is
were
the package they are getting, ma'am?
are you getting all the position you will get in data science is directly proportional to how much you know,
Okay.
right? And it is a very research and development oriented thing. If you do not know, nobody can give you job. It is all, you have to get it in your own merit. If you're getting into the data science job by luck, you will not survive there, right? So prepare yourself first. Every project is very short term, 3-4 months you need to deliver one project. If you really don't know what is this, it's very tough to survive. And all the other people will be, mostly I have seen, I want to be honest, in data science you will be You will be finding people more from good institutes, from good background, right? So it is very tough competition. So you should prepare yourself. You should give that time, 6 months. Package, leave about package. You will be well paid. That is for sure. You will be well paid in this. At least 30-40% more than what exactly your level software engineers people are getting. 5-year experience software engineer people, they're getting X package. 5-year experience data scientist will get 30X package, 30 times, not 30 times, 3X, sorry, 2 to 3 times more you will get.
Why don't you give a rough range? Because like I understand he is looking out for a rough range.
Rough range, it's very tough based on company, but I'll tell you, okay, if after a master's, if you're joining as a fresher, data science trainee, 2016, the package was 10 lakh. 10 they are providing. 7 to 10, that's the range. For data science trainee, zero experience, data science trainee, fresh graduates with relevant field knowledge, statistics or computer science, other background, 7 to 10. For you, any people who are, if you are not from master's background, if you are from BTech background and you have 2-year experience in data science, you are showing, that will be the starting range, 7 to 10, right? But
Ma'am, I'm a commerce graduate. I'm a commerce graduate.
commerce graduate, yeah, so that's a relevant field. So that's what I'm saying. Any masters, I mean, any
Okay.
masters or relevant field graduate, entry, zero experience, 0 to 2-year experience is fresher only, okay? 0 to 1.5 year experience is fresher. So the range will be 7 to 12 lakhs, something like that. More than 3 years, expect 12 to 20. 4 to 5 year plus, 5 year plus experience, 20 plus. And in data science, you will not find anyone who is 10-15 year experience because this field is new, right? So if anybody they have 10-year experience in data science, they are not telling the truth. Okay, so you will find yeah.
So ma'am, I've been told that today is your demo batch, and if you can start, you can start it. So they have told me, ma'am, I just don't know, is it an immediate batch, intermediate level batch, or a beginner's batch, full-fledged batch?
No. Let me tell you, this is a sequence. So even if you are enrolling for advanced and you are beginner, this has to be there. This syllabus, without this, you will not understand advanced. Okay, this is the path to go to advanced. You first have to understand Python, visualization, NumPy, Pandas, statistics. These are the basic, right? So even if you are enrolling for advanced in future, this is the way, this is the first course you need to take. This is recommended for everyone who want to switch their domain to data science and don't know anything about data science. Okay, so you can do one thing. If you want to finish the course instead of 3 months, 1.5 months, you can go parallelly this course and advanced course. But I will not recommend that. Give time.
Sorry, ma'am, I miss your words actually. Some. Just repeat it once again.
Sorry, if it is breaking, what I mean to say is, it's already time to log out. It's already time for me. I will take another 2-3 minutes to answer queries and then I have to log out. So what I'm saying is, this is the course for intermediate. After taking this course, you can showcase 2 years of experience. After this course, you can take the advanced course if you really want to get knowledge on deep learning and NLP, which is 1.5 month course again. After completing this entire 3-month series, you can write 3+ year experience in your resume as a data scientist. Am I clear?
Yes.
Hello, Susmita. Just 2 quick questions. Will you be able to share any documentation of what you have explained in the class after that?
Yeah, not document everything. So the file, the Python code, the recordings, the PPTs, everything.
No. Okay. Yeah, the PPT. So will that have the detailed description, like a detailed description of everything what we have talked in the class, discussed in the class?
Yes, yes, everything, whatever we have done, even the recording will also be shared with you. And
Okay.
all the documents, whatever we have used, everything will be shared with you. It's a Google Drive, 3 folders, code, recording, and materials. You will get everything within that.
Okay. Okay. Do you want my email address, or you already have it? I'm sorry, I
Amay,
cannot hear you.
is it Amay who is speaking?
This is Shanti.
Santi, right? Santi, and yeah, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me. I will share. I will be sharing the documents and everything.
Okay. And also one more thing, is this the so daily you'll be starting by 7:30, or can we have the class like 30 minutes in advance, or is this the time every day you'll
No,
be?
7 a.m. IST, the timing. 7
Okay.
a.m.
Okay. So 7 a.m. IST. Regularly the class will be at 7 a.m. IST.
7 to 8. Today we extended, but it will end by 8.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any possibility that you can just make it at least 6:30 or something like that? Just if
6:30.
there is a possibility.
Yeah, but I think most of the people, right? It is early morning in India, so
Okay.
I mean, I am okay. I don't have an issue. I wake up very early, but it may be a problem for others. Let's see. If it is so
Okay.
much problem, we have to adjust.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Okay, Susmita. Thanks
Shashmita,
for
one last question, Shashmita. I am a working professional, so at least 9-10 hours I have to give in office, right? Office job. How much time I need to spend for the learning this?
Every day you need to give 1.5 hours to 1 hour at least.
All right.
Otherwise, you will
Okay.
not be able to complete the assignments.
I'm sorry.
Otherwise, you will not be able to complete the assignments and projects. So at least you
Okay.
should give
Okay.
1.5 hours every day. Yeah, 1 hour at least.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, can I just give me a call? But for the Python thing, we will be having a practice session for that also?
For everything we have practice session. So on NumPy, I will be giving you 100 questions to practice. For Pandas, I'll be giving you 2-3 assignments. And for visualization and Pandas, we will be having one project to practice. For statistics and machine learning, there will be one project, which I will be doing in the class. And for statistics and deep learning, one project, I will share you the code and recordings. You can practice. That's your practice problem. So there are enough projects to practice an assignment.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
this is Kruti.
yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have two quick questions. So, will you be covering TensorFlow and Keras, those kind of packages in this course? And the second question was, in the current industry, how much demand do you see in the finance domain for this? Because I was attending few for earlier demo recordings in YouTube, and I guess mostly it is used in the e-commerce or industrial section, right? How frequently does it get used in banks, traditional banks, those kind of industries?
Yeah, so let me tell you. So as a data scientist, your scope is very wide. Not only finance, you can go to e-commerce, finance, manufacturing, healthcare. Every domain will welcome you. Every domain has its own application related to AI. Finance, mostly they focus on fraud detection, outlet detection kind of. But there are hundreds of customer behavior analysis, customer segmentation, hundreds of multiple applications where banks are really using AI. Definitely, there is a great scope starting from customer behavior analysis to fraud detection, credit card for fraud detection to loan defaulter to find out potential customers who can be targeted for advertising, right? So there are multiple applications. So yes, definitely there is a huge scope in finance. To answer your first query, yes, Keras TensorFlow has been Keras we are covering in deep learning module. So the code we will
So
be
that will
writing
be in the
using
advanced course, right? Not in the intermediate one.
intermediate only we will be covering. In advanced, there are other algorithms we will be covering, like transfer learning, RN and LSTM, those kind of things. Right?
Okay.
But here in this we are covering Keras.
And TensorFlow, like I'm not aware what it is, but I guess that's a separate thing, or that is
basically everything we Tensor is a basic structure, data structure you can say. TensorFlow is a package. TensorFlow, Theano, Keras, PyTorch, Caffe, these are all deep learning packages. So Keras
Okay,
is
okay.
a hybrid, which is a combination of TensorFlow and Theano.
Oh, got it. Got it. Yeah, one more
You can
quick
do
question. So I guess if I understand correct, we'll be covering 3 projects as part of this project, this course, right? So
yes.
maybe towards the end of the course, will you be able to help us with how to start with different projects in Kaggle, or will you be able to give us some sample for new like projects to do it of our own, those kind of stuff?
No. So one project you will be doing, the deep learning project, and machine learning project I will be giving you in the class. I will be doing it, and the pandas there will be 2-3 project. 1 second, I have 1% charge. Just give me 1 minute.
Right, but in case in future, let's say we want to gain more experience in this before joining some company. So let's say I want to practice of my own. Like where can I get data set, or where can I get projects to do it of my own? To improve my knowledge, that kind of thing after the course.
Yeah, I think that is your like you. There are many platforms. Obviously, I will talk about those platforms. In like you said, Kaggle, and we have Analytics Vidya, Kaggle, hackathons. Even Government of India is organizing many hackathons, so which you can practice. And there are hundreds of websites where you can get the data sets. So to practice, right? So in this course, I will be providing you 3 projects. After that, if you want to practice more projects, yes, you can practice as many as you can. There are hundreds of problems available. Yeah, I'll tell you the reference from where you can practice, so you can practice yourself.
Okay, got you. Thank you. And for the advanced course, like will there be some projects there as well, or that is just new algorithms?
Yes. So without project, I don't want to. So I mean, you will not understand, right? Only the theory. So everything, all the topics we will be. So if you are joining for advanced course, OpenCV, image processing, computer vision, crack detection, they're very interesting. What I am doing currently, I'm working in a manufacturing company where we are using deep learning for crack detection. So related to that, one project will be there. Again, based on my own advanced projects are not from Kaggle. That's based on my own experience. Another completely my own project is competitive intelligence. The exactly same project that I am working for my company. For some websites, I am done it for other websites. So it's a competitive intelligence is an NLP based project where you can understand your competitors' behavior in market, right? So that we will be doing. So there are 2 major projects which you will not get anywhere in market, internet.
That's part of the advanced course, right?
Just advanced, yes.
And that is apart from the 3 projects that we'll be doing in the intermediate one.
Yes. That is apart from it.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah. Okay, I am running out of time. I have to log out now. If you have any queries, you can actually reach out to Durgasoft. And initial 2-3 days, we will go slow because many are enrolling, many are joining a demo every day. I hope you understand. But once the batch is formed, we will be going in a normal pace every day, 1 hour, right? Mostly from end of this week, maybe from Thursday, Friday onwards. Or next week, Monday onwards, we will be starting the batch in normal mode, every day 1 hour. Okay. Thank you all.
Sure. Thank you.